Hi, how's it going, everybody? My name is Jonathan Heilman, and this is my introduction for clinical practice 2. Let's see. My name is Jonathan Heilman. The credential I'm seeking is a single subject credential. In my single subject focus will be in English. A brief professional background. Growing up in like high school and in college, I was a camp counselor for a lot of years. Excuse me. And that's when I really realized that I love working with kids. So I was a camp counselor for a couple of years, like CIT, counselor in training as a teenager, and received an award for doing a good job. So I was really happy about that, and I really liked doing it. And I loved hanging out with the kids and having fun. Later, towards college time, one of my favorite parts of the summer was working at camps over the summer. It was pretty chill, but also like it was just always a lot of fun. I loved working. It didn't really feel much like work. Just playing games and like teaching kids how to play sports and teaching kids how to swim. So I was a camp counselor for a number of years, and then I became a swim instructor at the camp that I worked at. And then after a couple of years of being a swim instructor, I became the senior swim instructor on site, like the on site manager, like scheduling hours and stuff. And I started to think like, oh, this is kind of cool. I would like to pursue a career in this. I was working in an office at the time. I got a job at Zebra Technologies, working in data entry, like interim musician, and I realized like, okay, this isn't really as fulfilling or as fun. And so I didn't really like it very much. It didn't really speak to me the same way that teaching kids how to swim and how rewarding it was seeing them, swim at the deep end at the end of the summer. I have a story about that, but long story short, it was really rewarding seeing students who were 12 years old, didn't know how to swim, didn't know how to doggy paddle, swim in the deep end towards the end of the summer. And looking at that and being like, I did that. That was all me. Well, not all me, but I felt good about it. And it was cool. So I decided, all right, I was thinking about getting a psych major in college, but I decided to become a teacher then. After college, I went overseas. I wanted to teach right away. And I also wasn't sure where I really wanted to live in the States because I went to school in Boston. I grew up in Illinois. I wasn't really sure I wanted to live in either of those places. So I kind of still wanted to travel. So I went overseas and taught in Southeast Asia for like 2.5 years in Thailand and taught at a couple different schools, like high schools over there. Their high schools are 7th to 12th grade. And some students would travel for like up to 2 hours to get to school. It was a big deal for them getting to school, and they had their uniforms, and some of the students were like ROTC, like pre-military, and it was a really cool environment. So I did that for a number of years, really became part of the school, and it was awesome, like judging singing contests and like being in parades. It was awesome. It was a great time. But then I came back to the States. I was thinking I'd do that for a year, and then I decided, okay, I'm not sure I want to do this forever. I kind of miss being in America. I miss my family. So I did that for like 2.5 years, and then decided to come back to California, and I started teaching. Taught at an English language school for adults who needed hours for their visas and wanted to learn English from all countries like Russia, Korea, Morocco, Japan, Italy, like just from all over, and that was really cool. But I also knew I felt like I didn't have the training that I would have liked, so I wanted to find a program that could like teach me how to be a better teacher, and then also just find a school that was more full time because that was only like 4 hours a day. So I wanted to have like a more structured school, kind of like the one I'm at. So I found Scoot and I started subbing, and then they talked about the Teach Start Fellowship. That was part of the ad where it was like, oh, you can be part of the university and get your credential and all that, because every job at a full time school required the credential. So I found that company and started subbing for them. And I got placed here in the Teach Start Fellowship at Alliance College Ready Middle Academy. Let's see, what type of school do I work at? It's a charter school. It's in South Central. It's in Watts, like just north, in between Inglewood and Compton. The student population is about 450 students. It's about 99% Hispanic. It's a largely Hispanic area, and it's mostly Hispanic, and then I think like 1% African American. So that's the student population. It's 6th to 8th grade. So it's like the second half, or when I went to middle school, it was 5 through 8. So they're 6 through 8. Yeah, and there's a high school right nearby that a lot of them go to after they graduate. What grade level and subjects do I teach? I teach reading intervention for 7th and 8th graders. Last year I did 6th and 7th. This year I'm doing 7th and 8th. And reading intervention is for students who need like additional reading support. A lot of my students are English language learners. They're ELs, and most of them have like reclassified, so have tested through the LPAC. They passed the LPAC which is the English language proficiency assessment. Something along those lines, where they can prove they've proven that they can speak English at a level of proficiency that classifies them as not necessarily an English language learner, but there's still things with pronunciation, spelling that they need to fine tune and become fluent with. So that is one thing that I do in my class. Let's see, what would you like most? What would you most like to learn in clinical practice too? Mm, let's see. Maybe maybe like more about collaboration. I like to learn more about like what good collaboration looks like or effective collaboration, like identifying the parts that I really should be looking for. I've been pretty good about meeting up with my colleagues and asking them questions and noticing things in my class, like, oh, I'm not getting the level of engagement I really want. What are some things I can do? And observing everybody, and through the observation hours, I've learned a lot. Like implementing more interactive software for my students to be using while I'm teaching my lessons, how better to keep everyone involved through polling and like getting class wide engagement versus just direct instruction and just calling on one student at a time, where the rest of the class is just going like, oh my gosh, this is so boring. So trying to keep everyone, let everyone be part of the lesson is something that I'm really trying to learn the most about. So that's something I'd really like to learn.